Hi folks, hope you're okay today. I just want to share with you a couple of thoughts about the crisis in France. And I want it on record, and it's very important because I gave a lecture, and that lecture was 6 months research. And I gave a lecture on public space, democracy, and street preaching. That lecture took me 6 months to research. I read a number of academic articles and some key reference works as I gave that lecture. That lecture gave information about how we are to treat public space, how Islam and other religions could engage in public space, and it gave a lot of ideas about how democracy is to go forward, etc. That lecture was ahead of its time. It saw, before the events happened, certain things. I stated within that lecture that we would see violence on the streets of Europe, on the streets of UK by Islamic extremists. We saw the drummer, the UK drummer from the British Army, massacred by Islamic extremists. And we've seen the issue of the massacres in France recently. But I predicted that these things would happen. I said in my public lecture, and I think that the academic world, and I think that public policymakers need to go back to my lecture, need to go over it and learn the lessons that I lay out in that lecture, because I guarantee that the same mistakes are going to be made again, and we're going to see repeated violent militants on the streets of Europe until you go back to that lecture that I gave, the lessons of that lecture. So have a look for it. I think it's called Public Space, Democracy and Street Preaching by Jason Burns. Go and listen to the lecture. And if you're a politician, take note of the lecture, because all the political issues that have been happening, all these massacres and all this crisis could have been avoided if you'd have listened to what I was saying. It's as simple as that. Because you didn't have make the right choices and the right steps of how you deal with democratic public space, you failed to realize how to defeat militant Islam, but instead empowered it. Those are my thoughts. So for those who've been laughing at me and mocking, you should have taken my public lecture on democracy very seriously. All right. Thank you for listening, and take care.